Hey guys, my name is Vladimir. This is my presentation. Enjoy. Early America before Jamestown. Centuries ago, African people apparently reached the New World by canoe. Around the year 1000, the Viking Leif Erikson landed in an unknown part of North America. These Vikings, they were from Norway and other nearby regions. Early colonies. In the late 1400s, John Cabot, sailing for England, visited Canada and perhaps that present-day United States. Spanish explorer Ponce de Leon arrived in Florida in 1513. In 1562, 26 Frenchmen built a settlement called Charlesford along what is now the South Carolina coast. By the 1500s and 1600s, several countries wanted to build settlements in what is now the United States. That included France, Spain, England, and the Netherlands. England got up to a later start than France and Spain, however, in its quest to colonize America with their first attempt when it came in 1585, when the Englishmen sent by Sir Walter Raleigh began the city of Raleigh on North Carolina's Roanoke Island. The founding. It was starting to look like England might never gain a foothold in America, but around the time the Faux-Fan colony was begun, the English attempted to start another colony. Another approximately 100 settlers were sent, and one was a soldier named John Smith. The Voyage. A difficult 4-month voyage brought 3 ships to Chesapeake Bay on April 26, 1607, by the calendar then in use. The ship sailed 60 miles up a river that the Englishmen named the James River for their king, James I of England. Early Jamestown. The Jamestown Settlement took place on May 14, 1607 and was in the colonial American time period from 1587 to 1770. Master George Percy was 27 years old when he helped establish the Jamestown colony in 1607. He was one of the 38 aristocrats in the expedition and later served twice as the colony's governor before he returned to England. The beginning of problems. When the Englishmen had arrived, it was too late to plant food crops, and with that, hunger soon set in. They were building Jamestown on a swamp, but they didn't know it. The water in the summer was harmful, bugs were everywhere, and they carried deadly illnesses. So summer ended, and only about half of them were still alive. Very few houses were done, and to make things worse, the marshes near Jamestown were a breeding ground for mosquitoes. There weren't any farmers, so crops hadn't been planted, and soon food was almost gone. That wasn't all, we also had trouble with our leader. He stole extra food for himself, and he ordered us to build him a castle. The men were angry, so they threw the leader in jail. We named Captain John Smith as our new leader, even though he bragged a lot and thought he was better than everyone else. John Smith knew what was good for us, as he didn't care what others thought about him and knew what had to be done. More problems began to arise with the population. Most of the population is rich people, also known as gentlemen. The problem with that is that gentlemen didn't want to work, they only wanted to look for gold. A new relationship with the Indians. By December of 1607, the food was almost gone, so Captain Smith visited Indian villages and traded for food. One night they were sitting around the fire, and Indians leaped from the darkness and grabbed them. They dragged them before the great chief Powhatan, the Indian leader. As they spoke, Powhatan liked how John Smith had learned the Indian language, and it made Powhatan trust John Smith. After that, the Indians treated them with respect and helped them learn the Indian ways such as hunting deer. The beginning of good. Time passed and people felt more at home. The food was good and there was more than enough for everyone. Some women were also powerful and knew how to grow huge crops. Some were even leaders. As time passed, more boats came. They were filled with settlers. And by the fall of 1609, there were about 500 settlers in Jamestown. Now there were also women and children. By Captain Smith. In September, Captain Smith got hurt. He returned to England. He planned to come back, but sadly never did. The starving time. Just when things started to get off the ground, winter came around. The winter of 1609 would be known as the starving time. It was one of the most horrible times in early America. Powhatan knew we would never leave, so the Indians tried to make us leave by things such as shooting us with arrows. We were starving. Many people died. We dug roots to eat and ate snakes, rats, dogs, and horses. During the winter, we needed firewood, so we broke down our houses. Spring came and we decided to board the ship to leave Jamestown. The change of minds. As we were travelling, partway down the river we saw another ship. It carried a new leader, more settlers, and food, so we turned back and returned. The new leader was firm and everybody had to work hard. The new leader also started a war with the Indians. Soon the settlers started winning. The success. The number of settlers grew and they took more land from the Indians. They learned how to farm and build schools, also surviving winters. Years later, Pocahontas married a settler, and for the first time the Indians and the English tried to live in peace. The end.